How you feeling as?
I'm Michael.
I'm Kimberly. And we researched the topic about early substance abuse and how it's affecting generations.
Our main hypothesis was that from what we see in schools and all the things that go on, we've seen that like most teens would probably use substance abuse to like basically better themselves and they like it and peer pressure and all. So we believe that out of our findings we'd get a lot of things where kids actually used it.
And we handed out some surveys and we tested to see how true it and valid it was, and the conclusion was kind of surprising.
And here's our video.
Wait, yeah. But first, we brought Tyrone up here for a reason. The ending, like, I think he's in the end, right? Yeah. It was not really like, it was more like an acting thing. It wasn't anything like serious. Like, Tyrone's a good person.
Okay, good person.
I'm Michael.
I'm Kimberly.
And we did our research project on substance abuse and how it affects the teenage community on alcohol, drugs, and sex.
Some things that we did to like broaden our study, we made surveys and interview questions. We surveyed different people from teens to adults and got direct answers on their past lives and what they did as teenagers. And we also did interviews doing the same thing.
Here are some interviews from the engagement committee.
How do you think your parents view teenagers?
Oh, like little kids, like babies.
And do you think your parents did what you do now?
No. No. They were very...
I view teenagers as young adults because they are growing, like start from 14 to 17 and like in the process where they are maturing and their brains are developing.
How do you think your parents view teenagers?
Insignificant. They think they are better than me. My mom is different. My dad, he's in LA though.
How do you think your parents view teenagers?
Negatively.
Why?
Because they see that they're doing things wrong and they don't want that to influence me.
And do you think your parents did what you do now?
No. Now we're going to do an interview of Francisco Ramirez, and his line of work involves sexual education and public health consulting.
Okay. My name is Michael. What's your name? My name is Francisco Ramirez, and if people are curious, what I do is I am a sexual health educator and public health consultant. So one of the things that I do here in the park is I come out on the weekends and give free advice on relationship, sex, and dating. People just line up and we have conversations about this.
How do you view teens nowadays and why?
That's kind of a big question, but what I would say about that is I view adolescents, teens, younger people as really capable, able to hopefully make really good choices for themselves. I think, and the reason that I put that out there is one thing is I think that all of my work in sex ed, I see that sometimes people want to make assumptions about young people. I say, all young people are bad, all young people make bad decisions. If left alone, they don't know how to do the right thing, with age, they'll learn how to do the right thing. And in my experience, that's totally not necessarily the case. Sure, as we grow older, we have experiences and hopefully learn from our mistakes, but we might not necessarily, right? So I can see people who are like, old and grown, who are making, worse decisions than maybe an adolescent does.
So what do you think is the difference between the previous generation and teens and from modern generation?
Well, I'd say that there's a lot of things. I would, I work in media, and I know that everything, for example, like messaging and the way that we approach, generally we have to go faster, right? Because, our attention span is like, really, really fast, right? So that's one thing that's, I say, technology influences a lot about all people of all ages, but I mean, we definitely we can look and say that, teens of today's age are much, and totally different place, you know, whereas my teens, 20 years ago, who didn't grow up with the internet.
So do you think schools prevent kids from doing like alcohol, drugs, and sex?
I think schools can, and you know, if we're doing a good job in our schools. I know there's lots of programs, you know, educational programs. Sometimes it's like a mandated course, or it's a short assembly. But I do think that there's really the opportunity for schools to use programming that can prevent effective programming. You can't have like old programs that are working, but effective programming that will make a difference. But I think that we have to do something actively, because otherwise we can't just assume that a school on its own is going to engender like a certain kind of behavior.
And here is Tyro's unique perspective on teenage behavior and substance abuse.
Yo, it's Team Money Wisconsin Projects. Hey, you already know, so we're going to do the survey thing. I got some questions for me.
Okay, so how do you view teenagers, Team Money?
Alright, so teenagers, you know, they something like dogs. You gotta keep them trained. You gotta keep them in check. So they get out of line, smack a couple of them. The rest will follow. Next question.
How do you think your parents view teenagers?
They treat them like dogs too. One day, they just threw the kibbles and best in the floor. Like, you hungry? You eat that. Next question.
Do you think your parents did what you do now?
Next question.
Yes, I'm about to say.
Yes, probably.
Are you exposed to alcohol, drugs, and etc. a lot?
I plead the fifth. Yes. Oh yeah, I'm exposed. Yeah.
Do they sell drugs in your school?
Is it gonna be a blur thing? Because I'm not getting snitched on, right? Yeah. They sell drugs.
Have you ever been offered drugs?
Most stuff, they be like, yo, I got that fire, I got that flame, yo, I got that liquid. Next question.
Have you witnessed peer pressure?
Yeah. Like, really, no, that shit was covered for camera.
Can you describe a time?
Like, one time, I was in math class, and this guy said, 2 + 2 equals me and you smoking drugs. It didn't make no sense. He tried to make me smoke drugs, and I was like, yo, smoking drugs is wrong.
So at the end of this, I really feel like we got a lot of knowledge on what people thought about teens and who they are, and like, I guess what's to come, and basically everybody's had the same opinions that teens can actually grow from this, and they can really make their own choices.
So I hope you enjoyed our little mini clip. We really worked hard on it. Just like to talk about my opinion about substance abuse and teenage behavior. I think that substance abuse is something that we should be more aware about and cautious about, because in the long run it will affect us, teenagers. And Kim has something to tell you.
I also believe that as teenagers we should be able to respect ourselves and learn what to do and what not to do, and be safe. Bye.
So, bye.